okay? So let's go ahead and get started with our steps. This goes on page 34 in your notebooks. So when we're multiplying monomials, monomial just means that there's one term, right? So if we're only multiplying by one term, you guys actually already know how to do that. So the first thing we're going to do, and you already know how to do this, is distribute the monomial and sometimes it's more than one monomial. We'll do an example like that. So I'm going to put monomials, okay, into the polynomial. And you guys know that when we distribute, the operation that we're doing is multiplying. So it makes sense that we're distributing here, okay? And then after you distribute, this is very similar to subtraction. After you distribute, all you're going to do is combine all like terms and write in standard form, which is what we've been doing with adding and subtracting. So this second step is really nothing new. And honestly, the first step isn't anything new either because you guys just did distributing when we did subtraction, okay? That's it for the steps. You're going to distribute what you need to, and then we're going to combine all like terms and simplify in standard form. So this is the one thing that I want you to jot down that's super important. Remember, when we are multiplying, you don't multiply your exponents, you add them. You learned that in the last week's lessons, okay? So when multiplying, remember to add the exponents. Remember, I had to do a spelling check, to add the exponents. Okay, but other than that, I mean, this is really, I expect you guys to get this and be fine. Y'all should be good. So let's go ahead and do examples. I'll do like 5 or 6, just make sure everybody's okay. So let's do negative 2x times x minus 3. And I'm actually going to write it like this so you guys can get used to this. So do you guys see how I'm multiplying two polynomials? But this first one is a monomial. Does everybody see that? That's very important. If this is just one term, then all you have to do is distribute. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite it to make it look like this. And from here, all we have to do is distribute. So I'm going to do negative 2x times x. And then I'm also going to do negative 2x times negative 3. Okay? So this is where we're going to review why we have to add the exponents. So when I do negative 2x times another x, this is technically x to the first and this is x to the first, right? So if you put them together, one x and another x is now going to make 2 x's, which is why it's x squared. I added them together, okay? Now, negative 2 times negative 3 is a positive 6. All right, so we distributed. After we distribute, if we can, we'll combine like terms, but there's nothing here to combine, and it's already in standard form, so this is just my answer. Now, if you wanted to practice classifying, there's 2 terms, so this is a binomial, and the degree here, the biggest exponent would be 2, okay? I am going to do that for the first one just to remind you guys. You definitely better not forget how to classify and state the degree, okay? You need that all the way through Math 4, and it's really easy. It's the simplest thing we'll do this unit. All right, so example 1, I feel like we should be okay. Let's move on to example 2. All right, so for example 2, we're going to do I'm I'm going to step it up a little bit, okay? Negative 3xy times 6x minus 3xy. All right, so again, you want to check and make sure we are multiplying one term by two others, right? So as long as this is a monomial, that means I can rewrite it. And I'm actually going to come down here to rewrite it this time so I don't run out of room. Negative 3xy times 6x minus 3xy. All we're going to have to do from here is distribute, okay? Because this is just one term. It's a monomial. So I'm going to distribute negative 3xy to the 6x. So negative 3 times 6 is negative 18. We now have two x's, good. So this would be x squared, and then there aren't any other y's, so we're just going to bring this one down, okay? Now we also have to multiply it to the second term right here. So now I've got negative 3 times negative 3, which is positive 9. I have one x here and another x here, so that's now x squared. And then you also have two y's. So now this is also y squared. Okay? Now our last step is to combine all like terms and write in standard form. So let's see if we have any like terms. Okay, both of these have an x squared, but do the y's match? No. So remember, at the zoo, the animals have to be the exact same to be able to go together in the same pen. These are not like terms because they aren't the exact same. So your only last step is to make sure it's in standard form. Are my biggest exponents in the front? Good. So hopefully you notice they're not. X squareds are the same. So for those, it doesn't matter which one's in the front. But look at your y's. Which one has the bigger y? This one, so this should go in the front, 9x squared y squared, and then we can bring over the minus 18x squared y. So do you see how for this one, I just had to switch the order so that they would be in standard form, okay? All right, if you wanted to classify, this would also be a binomial, but I'm going to skip that part with you guys because I feel like we're okay with that. So let's move on to example 3. Let's do this one will be a good one to do. X squared plus 2x plus 4. Make sure you are copying this down with me. Some of y'all are going to be in trouble when we do that virtual notebook check. All right. So here's example 3. So what's different about example 3 is I'm actually multiplying twice. And then do you guys see how we're adding here in the middle? So this is two different multiplication problems added together. So what we want to make sure is, do we have monomials out front multiplying? And we do. This is one term. Negative 4 and the x are squished together, so that's one thing. And then 3x is also one term. So that means I can distribute this negative 4x in. Okay? And then back here, after we multiply in the front, we'll also distribute the 3x in. But I want to do the front first. So this x squared has an understood 1. Negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. And now how many x's do we have? If there's 2 on the inside times 1 more on the outside, that's going to make 3 x's total. Okay? Now, negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. And here you have 2 x's. This is where y'all will mess up because you'll just bring down an x. But there's one here and another one here. So that is x squared. Okay? Now, negative 4 times positive 4 is negative 16. And there's also an x there. And that gives us our first product, our first multiplication. We did a monomial times a trinomial. All right? Now, I can also distribute this 3x. So 3x times an understood 1x, and it's positive, is going to give me positive 3x squared because there's two x's now, okay? Positive 3 times negative 2 gives me negative 6. And for this 2, it doesn't have an x. So we're just left with this one that we started with. All right, so you just distributed your monomials. This is why we said sometimes monomials, because this one actually had 2, okay? So now we're on step 2. We need to combine all like terms and write it in standard form. And if you're working along with me, which that would be all of you, you would notice that we have negative 8x squared plus 3x squared. Those can go together because they're the exact same, right? So I'm going to bring the negative 4x cubed down because we don't have any other x cubes. And then right here, these can go together. So if we have different signs, negative 8 and positive 3, I'm going to subtract, but keep the sign of the bigger one. So 8 is bigger, so we know it's going to be negative. And then 8 take away 3 is going to be 5x squared. Okay, so that took care of those. Now, take a look at this. Let me get a different color. We have negative 16x and negative 6x. So those have the same sign, which means we can add them. So 16 plus 6 gives me 22, and it's going to stay negative. All right, so my answer here is negative 4x cubed minus 5x squared minus 22x. So we distributed our monomials first, then we combined like terms and made sure it was written in standard form. Okay?